It was not too long ago that I was just sat in my YouTube and on my suggested page up popped this video, and it was by a guy named Summoning Salt, and I'd never heard of this name. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but it was on a Wii Golf speedrun. And I just thought to myself, there's no way that you can actually speedrun Wii Golf. No way. I was so wrong. I was so wrong. You can 100% speedrun it. And what I did after that is I spent the next 3 days just watching a whole bunch of video game speedruns, and I did like nothing else. Alright, and yeah, maybe it wasn't 3 whole days of just watching speedruns, but I watched a lot of video game speedruns, and Minecraft was one of those speedruns, and it has been speedrun for a very, very long time. Modern day speedrunning involves a lot of different tricks and tips to actually get to the end dimension and kill the Ender Dragon as quickly as humanly possible. But back in the day, they actually just tried to get to Bedrock the fastest. That is how new the speedrunning Minecraft community was, and today we are actually going to be talking about how Minecraft speedrunning may be changed by 1.16. A lot of stuff relies heavily on speedrunners getting to the Nether and getting resources from here. And today we're going to be talking about how the 1.16 update may have changed that. But before we begin, let's head back to the overworld and talk about what speedrunning has been. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Minecraft speedrunning or just speedrunning in general, speedrunning is when you try and beat a game as fast as possible, getting to the end and beating the entire thing. Now, in Minecraft, there really truly isn't an end because it is an infinite sandbox game, and you can just keep on playing and playing in your world, creating more stuff. But to the speedrunning community, getting to the end of the game is actually killing the Ender Dragon. Minecraft speedrunning has had a lot of different iterations and reworks since it first started as trying to get to Bedrock as fast as possible. And if you want a whole history on that, you can go and search up a video. Today we are just going to be giving you the general gist, the basic overview of what speedrunning is, so we can talk about how the Nether update actually impacts that. And to be quite frankly honest with you, Minecraft speedrunners don't need that much at all to kill the Ender Dragon. I know the first time I went and killed the Ender Dragon, I needed all the gear. I needed all of it. I had full enchanted diamond armor, and this was back when enchantments were really hard to get. Of course, I didn't have the best armor. I didn't even know that that was possible. But yeah, they don't need much at all. Number 1 is get wood. Number 2 is get iron. Number 3 is get to the Nether. Number 4 is get ender pearls as well as blaze powder. And number 5 is get to the stronghold and kill the Ender Dragon. And I've dumbed this down way so much. Like, there is a lot more elements to these 5 steps, and actually there are a few more that I'm going to add over here. And of course, these things here are actually just the things that speedrunners will grab the entire time throughout the entire speedrun as quickly as possible when they can fit it in. And those are things like food, killing the nearby animals, getting blocks, so that would just be like easy to obtain things like leaves. The next one is actually projectiles, and now if you spawn near a snowy biome, you can actually get snowballs. Otherwise, you'll have to be killing chickens and mining up a bunch of gravel. And then there is gear. So that is if you are near a desert temple, a village, or anything, and you just see chests, open those up and grab that gear out of there. And then also the transportation. They are constantly going for like fast modes of traveling, whether that be boats. There was even a speedrun where they used a horse trying to get... Did I spell that wrong? Transportation. Nope. It's okay. Well, I did write transportation properly, but get ender blaze powder. Dear heavens, oh my goodness. So there is no way that I am not putting down the seed and the coordinates down in the description, because you guys might not believe me otherwise, but I just flew a few blocks this way, this would be an amazing seed to speedrun if you had just done this randomly and spawned in this village. Now, of course, there is the version where you can use a seed, but they have a way better seed. But anyway, so let's say this is your spawn. We are going to go through that list. Now, let's refer back to that list. And the first one was actually to get wood. Now, let's say you spawned on this side of the village. You could actually skip that first part, which is getting wood, and just get that. That's 5 iron. That is unbelievable. And then bread and an iron helmet. So you already have gear, you already have food, and you have iron. Now, if you flew over to this house, there is a chest with a bunch of wood and and more food. So of course, this isn't 1.16 specific, but you are already kitted out to go to the nether. And even more importantly, right over here is this chest. Like, what the heck? Oh my goodness. So you have 11 obsidian already, and if that wasn't good enough, if you didn't already have that, you could actually go right over here, and there is an abandoned portal. And in this chest, there is actually even more obsidian, flint and steel, and more gear. So, like, what the heck? So, I mean, like, if you didn't have a spawn like this, though, what you would normally do is dig down, get some iron, grab some shears, and then while you're going about in the world, you're always trying to break gravel. If you find gravel, you want to pick it up, break it, and bring it along with you. Just keep on breaking it when you have downtime and grabbing leaves, because those blocks are super, super important. But then the next step is, like I mentioned, to go to the nether. And the goal in the nether is to get blaze powder as fast as possible. And you want to be around a nether fortress for this. So this is actually not even that good of a spawn, just because there is no nether fortress right nearby to that place. Oh wow, yeah, okay, so even though that spawn isn't in that village, this was 128 blocks away from the portal, and you can see that there are blazes already spawning, and this is why you want to get to the nether fortress. You want to kill these blazes and get their blaze powder, because once you have that, then you can actually start creating those eyes of ender, and that is what's going to get you to the end dimension. And like I mentioned, once you had those blaze powders, you would be flying, and you would go and kill endermen during the night and get to the end dimension. But now, let's talk about how 1.16 might possibly change all of this. Let's pretend we didn't actually end up in this nether wastes. Let's pretend we actually ended up in a warped forest. As I mentioned previously, one of the hardest parts of actually getting to the end is getting the ender pearls that you need so that you can get these eyes of ender. Now, as you guys may know already, this warped forest in the nether has really amplified enderman spawns. So if you came here during your time in the nether, let's say you had a nether fortress right nearby to one of these biomes, you would actually be able to get ender pearls very rapidly. And the reason the reason I thought about this whole thing is I had joined another server just for a short period of time, and I wanted to get to the end as fast as possible, and I came here to the nether, and I thought, man, I'm gonna get these ender pearls. And super beefy enderman spawns is not the only thing the nether has to offer. Let's assume for a moment that there is a nether fortress here and you're actually able to get all of your blaze powder. Normally what would happen in a speedrun is in the first day you would get all the resources, get to the nether, hopefully you could get enough blaze powder by that night to head back to the overworld, kill endermen that first night just hoping that they would spawn, then get to the end fortress, then spend the second night killing endermen, then go and kill the ender dragon. But here, you can do most of those things in one place, and another thing that is super helpful is actually this gold right here. And if you're thinking, what on earth do I need this gold for? Well, if you are here killing endermen and there is like sort of a lapse in time where they're here, I mean, this is way more than you would ever have in the overworld, but you can always come over to piglins and they actually barter. So let's pull up a chart of their bartering, and you can see that there is actually a lot of things. Now, not only do they trade a bunch of different blocks that you can use for building while you're moving about, they actually trade arrows and ender pearls. That's crazy. And string. So you can actually come to the nether, kill these guys for their ender pearls, trade with these guys, possibly getting ender pearls, and have a chance at getting string for a bow, and arrows, and gravel, which I mentioned before, which is really useful for flint for getting arrows. So this is like a one-place stop for all sorts of different things. You know what? Here, let's just mine these 14 and see what we can actually trade for. Those 14 blocks, I actually just pulled out of the wall right here, so you could just mine those up super easy, and that ended up being 6 gold ingots. Not to mention the fact that there was actually gold in the chests at the village. I just didn't even grab it. And as you guys just saw, I didn't get the most useful stuff, but I did get some pretty useful stuff. So there is 21 soul sand, 3 climbing obsidian, and an amount of obsidian. I don't know exactly how much it was, just because I had some in my inventory before. And this might not sound very useful, but remember how I said they're trying to get blocks as fast as possible? Well, I mined out 14 netherrack and I got all of these blocks. And this would just be while you're actually waiting for those endermen to give you those pearls. It is just, it is so good. Not to mention, I actually could have gotten arrows, ender pearls, the ingredients for a bow, and the ingredients for other arrows. So, geez, just fantastic gentleman over there. I mean, like, just the nether, it provides so many opportunities for speedrunners, but of course there are also the cons. And yes, there are definitely cons both to using the nether to get your ender pearls, as well as even the 1.16 update in general. But one of those cons is actually killing the enderman. Now, normally what would happen is during that first night, you would be killing endermen and traveling towards your destination, killing them along the way if you didn't actually have a nice place like a desert, otherwise you'd stop there. But on that odd chance, you wouldn't actually be traveling closer to the end portal when you're killing these endermen. You would be kind of standing in the same spot, and once you got out, you'd have to do all that traveling all in a short amount of time, so that could be perceived as a con, not moving around while you're getting your ender pearls. I know we're still on cons, but look at this. So here is the warped forest. If we just head over here, there is a blaze spawner right there. What on earth? Anyway, yeah. So like I was mentioning, with the cons, this is actually due to the biomes. I know for sure that these bastion deltas... I know for sure from experience that these basalt, not bastion, these basalt deltas are super hard to traverse through. The entire thing is just parkour. There's nooks, crannies, and lava everywhere, and especially even some of the other biomes. And if you're thinking to yourself while I'm standing here, Fozzen, it is actually the same Minecraft generation as it was before, just with these weird trees. That is true, but the spawns are different. Before, the entire nether, except for nether fortresses and ghasts, were peaceful for you, but now there are actually piglins and hoglins, both of which that are super dangerous. And although this bastion right here is one of the ones that is rather closed off to the outside, if you end up getting one of those bastions that is really very open, the piglins might actually even swarm out for you. And in 1.16.2 there are piglin brutes, so that would make it even more difficult. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm slowly upgrading my gear as I find loot here in the nether and the overworld. But like I was mentioning about the biomes, it is actually soul sand valleys too. That was a very satisfying noise. Anyway, yeah, like I was saying, the soul sand valleys too are hard to traverse, and it's not because they are like super rugged or anything, but because of all the soul sand. Soul sand is super slow to travel on, and if you don't believe me, I'm gonna go into survival. And yeah, we are moving sluggishly. And of course, there has been soul sand in the nether forever, but never in the quantities like there is in these soul soil valleys. So these are hard to traverse, the crimson valleys are hard to traverse, those basalt deltas are hard to traverse. I mean, the entire nether is now hard to traverse. So one thing I like to use in the game is actually F3 and N. What that does is, I thought it switched you in between spectator mode and creative mode, but apparently it just puts you into whatever game mode you were last in, and in between spectator. So, yeah, we died. I mean, I didn't need to be in the bastion anyway. I just wanted to get more loot and see how good my gear could get. But anyway, let us revisit and revise. I have no idea why I want to do this part, but it just seems really funny. I feel like a teacher. Let us revisit and revise what we have learned today, students. So, the process of getting wood as well as getting iron and getting to the nether is exactly the same. Chop down trees, mine for some iron, and try and find surface lava. Number 4 is get that ender blaze powder, because that is the good stuff, and you can now do that very, very easily in the nether. And while you're actually doing that, you can even trade with piglins, getting those blocks, the projectiles, the gear, and the transportation. Yes, the transportation too. And number 5 is get to the stronghold and kill the ender dragon. Now that is the exact same thing, the exact same fight, but like we mentioned, you might not be traveling as far just because you're spending extra time in the nether. So these are all pros and cons of the nether update. There are lots of things that have changed for speedrunning that came out in 1.16, and I personally am not a speedrunner, so I cannot tell you whether these are cons, whether these are pros, so you are going to have to decide for me. Let me know down in the comments, do you think that speedrunning has now gotten easier? Do you think it is more difficult? Or is it the exact same? Nothing is going to change. They are just going to be doing the exact same thing over and over and over. Let me know down in the comments. I really do appreciate you guys stopping by and tuning in for this video. I had a blast. It was really interesting exploring all these new things that have come out in 1.16 that may affect speedrunning. And of course, I had a blast grabbing a bunch of gear. I had fun in that village over there, so yeah. Do leave a like down below if you enjoyed. I would love to hear your guys' opinion on this video. Leave a comment if you enjoyed, and until I catch you guys in my next video, it is bye for now for me. And at the time of the release of this video, I'm a member of the Fozzen Craft server, so if you are interested in survival Minecraft, definitely subscribe to the channel for more survival content. See you later!